The sky turned black at noon. Doyen looked up from the engine he was fixing and saw the massive ships blocking out the sun. They hung there like dark clouds, silent and terrifying. His hands stopped working. His heart started beating faster. "Brother, what is that?" Nari's voice came from behind him. She was only 12 years old and her voice shook with fear. Doyen wiped the oil from his hands and walked to his sister. He put his arm around her shoulders. "I don't know yet. Go inside the house. Stay with Mother." But before Nari could move, every screen in the town lit up. The televisions in shop windows, the phones in people's pockets, even the old billboard near the market. They all showed the same thing. A creature sat on a throne made of bones. It had gray skin, burning red eyes, and wore armor that looked alive. "People of Earth," the creature spoke in a voice that sounded like metal scraping stone. "I am Warlord Thexel of the Vraxian Empire. We have conquered 47 species across this galaxy. Today we add humanity to our collection. You have one choice. Kneel or burn." The screens went black. For a moment the entire town stood frozen in silence. Then the screaming started. People ran in every direction. Mothers grabbed their children. Old men fell to their knees and prayed. Shop owners locked their doors. Doyen held Nari close as chaos exploded around them. "We need to go home," Doyen said. He grabbed Nari's hand and started running through the streets. Their small repair shop sat at the edge of town, near the old coastal road. Their mother would be waiting there, worried and afraid. That night the family sat together in their small living room. The radio played news reports. Government after government was surrendering. The Vraxian ships landed in major cities around the world. Their soldiers walked through the streets and anyone who resisted was killed instantly. "What do we do?" their mother asked. Her name was Sora and her face was pale with worry. Doyen thought about his father. Taewon had died 6 months ago during a strange accident in the mountains, but before he died he had done something to Doyen. Something he said would help when the time came. Doyen hadn't understood then. Now he wondered if his father had known this was coming. 3 days later, the Vraxians came to their town. Soldiers marched through the streets, their armor clanking with each step. They were huge, at least 7 or 8 feet tall. They had 4 arms and carried weapons that glowed with blue energy. A voice boomed through speakers mounted on their vehicles. "All humans will gather in the town square. Now, anyone who refuses will be eliminated." Doyen, Nari, and Sora joined the crowd walking toward the square. Hundreds of people moved like ghosts, their faces empty of hope. When they reached the square, the Vraxian soldiers forced everyone to their knees. "Kneel before your new masters," a soldier shouted in broken human language. The people knelt, old and young, strong and weak. They pressed their faces to the ground. Doyen saw his neighbors crying. He saw the baker who always gave Nari extra bread on Sundays. He saw his old teacher from school, all of them on their knees. A massive Vraxian warrior walked between the rows of kneeling humans. He was bigger than the other soldiers. His armor was decorated with symbols that looked like skulls. His name was Kravix, and he was the commander of this region. Kravix stopped in front of an old man who was shaking with fear. The warrior laughed, a sound like rocks grinding together. "Look at them," he said to his soldiers. "They call themselves the dominant species of this planet. Now they grovel in the dirt like worms." The old man kept his head down, tears running down his wrinkled face. Kravix moved through the crowd, enjoying the fear. He kicked a man who wasn't kneeling low enough. He grabbed a woman by the hair and lifted her up, just to watch her scream before dropping her. Then he saw Doyen. Doyen was not kneeling. He stood straight, his hand holding Nari behind him. His sister was on her knees, but Doyen remained standing. The entire square went quiet. Even the other Vraxian soldiers stopped moving. Everyone stared at the boy who refused to kneel. Kravix walked slowly toward Doyen. Each step made the ground shake slightly. He stopped right in front of the boy, towering over him like a building of muscle and metal. "Human," Kravix said, his voice deep and dangerous. "Do you not understand your situation?" Doyen looked up at the warrior. His face was calm. "I understand perfectly." Kravix's forearms moved. 2 of them crossed over his chest. One rested on the weapon at his side. The last one reached out and grabbed Doyen by the throat, lifting him off the ground. "I will ask once," Kravix said. "Kneel now or I will kill you where you stand." Doyen's feet dangled in the air. He couldn't breathe properly. His hands instinctively grabbed the warrior's arm, but it was like trying to bend steel. Behind him, Nari started crying. His mother screamed his name, but something strange was happening inside Doyen's body. He felt it awakening, the thing his father had put inside him 6 months ago. It had been sleeping, waiting. Now it opened its eyes. Warmth spread through Doyen's chest, then heat, then something that felt like lightning running through his blood. His vision changed. Suddenly he could see things he shouldn't be able to see. He could see the weak points in Kravix's armor. He could see the way the warrior's muscles would move before they moved. He could see patterns in the air like invisible lines connecting all the Vraxian soldiers. And he felt no fear. The fear that had been crushing his heart disappeared completely. Instead, he felt something else: power, understanding, purpose. Kravix pulled his plasma blade from his belt with another hand. The weapon hummed to life, glowing bright orange. He held it to Doyen's throat. The heat from the blade made Doyen's skin burn. "Last chance, human child," Kravix growled. "I'll kill you if you don't kneel." Doyen's lips moved. Despite the hand crushing his windpipe, despite the blade at his throat, despite the hundreds of people watching, despite his crying sister and screaming mother, Doyen smiled. It wasn't a scared smile. It wasn't a nervous smile. It was the smile of someone who suddenly understood a secret that no one else knew. Kravix saw that smile and something changed in his burning eyes. For just a moment, the great warrior felt something he hadn't felt in years of conquest: confusion. And beneath that, the smallest seed of doubt. The boy shouldn't be smiling. The boy should be begging for his life. 6 months earlier, Doyun had climbed the mountain path to find his father. Taewon worked in a research facility hidden in the peaks, studying things that fell from the sky. He was a scientist, always curious about the stars and what lived among them. That day, Taewon looked different. His eyes were wild with excitement and fear mixed together. His hands shook as he pulled Doyen into the laboratory. "Son, I need you to trust me," Taewon said. He held a strange device in his hands. It looked like a metal cylinder filled with something that glowed soft blue. "Something is coming. Something terrible. I found this in a crash site 3 months ago. It's not from any species we know. It's older. Much older." Doyen stared at the device. "Father, what are you talking about?" Taewon pressed buttons on his computer. Images appeared on the screen. They showed ruins on distant planets, empty cities, dead civilizations. A race called the Precursors made this. They traveled the galaxy billions of years ago. They fought against conquerors, species that wanted to enslave everyone they met. The Precursors created weapons to stop them. "What kind of weapons?" Doyen asked. His father looked at him with sad eyes. "Living weapons. This contains an organism that bonds with a host. It makes them stronger, faster, smarter. But more than that, it removes fear. The Precursors believed that conquerors won through fear, so they created something that made their warriors immune to it." Taewon held up the device. "I've been seeing signals in space. Ships moving toward Earth. I think they're coming soon. And when they arrive, humanity will be afraid. We'll surrender because we're terrified. But if one person could stand without fear, maybe others would find courage too." Doyen stepped back. "You want to use that thing on me?" "I need your permission," Taewon said. "This will change you." "I don't know exactly how, but I believe it's our only chance." His voice broke. "I'm sorry to ask this of you, my son, but I'm dying. The radiation from the crash site has poisoned me. I have weeks left, maybe less. I can't carry this burden." "But you can." Doyen looked at his father's face. He saw the truth there. Taewon was already sick, his skin too pale, his breathing too shallow. "Will it hurt?" "I don't know," Taewon admitted. "But I believe you're strong enough." Doyen held out his arm. "Do it." The injection burned like fire in his veins. Doyen screamed. His father held him as the pain consumed his body. For 3 days, Doyen lay in bed with a fever that should have killed him. His mother and Nari cried beside him. The doctor said there was nothing they could do. On the 4th day, the fever broke. Doyen opened his eyes. He felt different, stronger, more aware. Colors looked brighter. Sounds were clearer. When he concentrated, he could almost feel the air moving around him. But his father was gone. Taewon had died the night before, his body finally giving up. His last words, whispered to Doyen's mother, were, "Tell him to smile when they come. Tell him they conquer through fear, but they've never faced a human who couldn't feel it." Now, standing in the town square with Kravix's hand around his throat, Doyen understood what his father meant. The symbiote inside him had fully awakened. Information flooded his mind. He could feel the electromagnetic fields generated by the Vraxian armor. He could detect the weak spots where the plates connected. He could sense the neural patterns of every soldier in the square. More than that, he could see the future. Not perfectly, but close enough. His brain processed millions of calculations every second. When Kravix would move, where the blade would strike, how the other soldiers would react, and he felt no fear at all. Kravix pulled the blade back, ready to cut Doyen's head from his shoulders. The warrior's muscles tensed in a specific pattern. Doyen's enhanced mind recognized it instantly. The blade would swing in exactly 0.7 seconds. Doyen moved, his hand shot out faster than any human should move. He struck 3 points on Kravix's arm. The armor there was thinner, designed to allow flexibility. His fingers hit with perfect precision, striking nerve clusters beneath the plates. Kravix's arm went numb. The hand holding Doyen's throat released. The boy dropped to the ground, landing in a crouch. The other Vraxian soldiers raised their weapons. Energy hummed as the guns charged. Doyen could see the trajectories before they fired. His mind painted lines in the air showing where each shot would go. He grabbed Nari and ran. The soldiers fired. Blue energy bolts tore through the air, but Doyen was already gone, moving between the shots like water flowing around rocks. He zigzagged through the crowd, pulling his sister behind him. "Stop them!" Kravix roared, his arm still hanging useless at his side. More soldiers joined the chase. They were faster than normal humans, their enhanced bodies carrying them across the ground in powerful leaps. But Doyen was faster. The symbiote guided his every step, showing him the perfect path through the chaos. Buildings exploded as missed shots hit walls. People scattered, screaming and running. Doyen's mother tried to follow, but the crowd swallowed her. Doyen wanted to turn back, but he knew he couldn't. If he stopped, they would kill everyone. He ran toward the edge of town, toward the mountains. Behind him, the sounds of weapons fire and shouting grew louder. Nari was crying, stumbling as he pulled her along. "Brother, I'm scared," she sobbed. "I know," Doyen said. "Trust me." They reached the forest at the base of the mountain. Trees provided cover. Doyen ducked behind a large rock and held Nari close. He could hear the soldiers searching, their heavy footsteps crunching through the undergrowth. Then he heard something else. Human voices, whispers in the darkness. "This way," someone hissed. "Quickly before they find you." A man appeared from behind a tree. He wore dark clothes and carried a rifle that looked like it was built from scavenged parts. His face was hard, scarred from old battles. His name was Minho, though Doyen didn't know that yet. "You're the kid who punched Kravix," Minho said. It wasn't a question. Doyen nodded. "Come with me. We don't have much time." Minho led them deeper into the forest, following paths that seemed invisible. After 20 minutes of climbing, they reached a cave entrance hidden behind a waterfall. Inside, lights glowed softly. People moved through tunnels carved into the rock. A woman with short hair and sharp eyes approached them. She wore glasses and carried a tablet computer. "You brought the boy?" she asked Minho. "I brought the boy who just made Kravix look like a fool in front of half the town," Minho replied. The woman studied Doyen with interest. "I'm Hana. I run the tech systems here. This is a resistance base. We've been fighting the Vraxians since they landed." She looked at Nari, who was still shaking with fear. "Get the girl some water and food. She's traumatized." Another woman appeared, younger than Hana, with kind eyes and steady hands. "I'm Jiwon. I'm the medic here. Let me look at you both." Jiwon led them to a small room carved into the rock. She checked Nari first, making sure she wasn't injured. Then she turned to Doyen. "You're not even breathing hard," she said. "You just ran 3 miles up a mountain carrying your sister and you're not breathing hard." Doyen realized she was right. He felt fine. Better than fine, energized. Minho leaned against the doorway, arms crossed. "So how did you do it? How did you hurt Kravix? Normal humans can't even scratch their armor." Doyen hesitated. Then he told them everything. About his father. About the injection. About the precursors and their weapon against conquerors. Hana's eyes went wide. "You're carrying precursor technology? Inside your body?" "I think so," Doyen said. Hana grabbed her tablet and started typing frantically. "This changes everything. The precursors were legends. Most scientists thought they never existed. But if their technology is real, if it's inside you..." She looked up at him. "You might be the only chance humanity has." Hana ran tests on Doyen for 3 days. She used machines salvaged from hospitals and research labs. She took samples of his blood, scanned his brain, measured his reflexes. The results made her hands shake. "Your DNA is changing," she told him, staring at the screen. "The symbiote isn't just living inside you. It's rewriting your genetic code, making you stronger, faster, more resilient. Your neurons are firing 3 times faster than a normal human. Your muscles are denser. Your bones are reinforcing themselves with some kind of crystalline structure." Doyen sat on the medical bed looking at his hands. They looked normal, but he could feel the power running through them. "Is that good or bad?" Hana didn't answer right away. Finally, she said, "I don't know. The scans show the changes are accelerating. Every time you use the symbiote's power, it spreads further. Eventually." She paused. "Eventually, you might not be human anymore." The words hung in the air like a death sentence. Nari was sitting in the corner of the room. She jumped up and ran to her brother. "No, there has to be a way to stop it." "I'm looking," Hana said gently. "But precursor technology is beyond anything we understand. It might be irreversible." Minho entered the room, his heavy boots echoing on the stone floor. "We don't have time to worry about what might happen. The Vraxians are hunting us. They've doubled their patrols. They're questioning everyone in town about the boy who attacked their commander." "What about my mother?" Doyen asked quickly. "Is she safe?" Minho's expression darkened. "The Vraxians took her. They're holding her and about 20 other people from your town. They say they'll execute 1 person every day until you surrender." Doyen stood up so fast the medical equipment fell over. "I have to go back." "That's exactly what they want," Minho said, blocking the door. "You walk into that trap and you're dead. Then they kill the hostages anyway, that's how they operate. So what do we do?" Doyen's voice was loud, angry. "Let them kill my mother?" "We fight smart," Minho replied. "We gather information. We make a plan. We strike when they're not ready." Jiwon stepped between them. "Everyone calm down, getting angry won't help." She looked at Doyun. "Your mother is strong. She'll survive until we can save her. But Minho is right. You're too valuable to waste in a suicide mission." That night, Doyun couldn't sleep. He walked through the tunnels of the resistance base looking at the people who lived there. There were about 50 of them. Men, women, even a few children. They were all that remained of the local resistance after months of fighting. He found Minho standing guard at the cave entrance looking out at the dark forest. "Can't sleep?" the older man asked. "How do you do it?" Doyun asked. "How do you keep fighting when everything seems hopeless?" Minho was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "I had a family once, a wife, 2 sons. The Vraxians killed them in the first week of the invasion. My boys were 5 and 7 years old." His voice was flat, empty of emotion. "I keep fighting because someone has to. Because if we all give up, then they died for nothing." Doyun stood beside him in silence, watching the stars. "You're different," Minho continued. "You have power, real power, the kind that could change this war, but power without control is just destruction. So tomorrow, we start training. I'll teach you how to fight like a soldier, not just a kid swinging his fists." The training was brutal. Every morning before dawn, Minho woke Doyun and pushed him to his limits. They practiced hand-to-hand combat, weapons training, tactical thinking. Doyun's enhanced body learned quickly, his muscles remembering movements after just 1 repetition. But Minho was a hard teacher. "Faster," he would shout. "The Vraxians don't give second chances. You hesitate, you die." Jiwon watched the training sessions with concern. One afternoon, she pulled Doyun aside. "You're pushing yourself too hard. Your body might be enhanced, but your mind is still human. You need rest." "I can't rest," Doyun said, breathing hard. "Every day I train is another day my mother is a prisoner. Another day the Vraxians tighten their control." "And if you burn yourself out, who will save her?" Jiwon asked. She sat down on a rock and patted the space beside her. "Talk to me. What's really bothering you?" Doyen sat. The words came slowly. "I'm scared. Not of the Vraxians. The symbiote took that fear away. I'm scared of what I'm becoming. Sometimes I look in the mirror and I don't recognize my own eyes. They're changing color. Did you notice? They're turning blue like the symbiote. Jiwon took his hand. Her touch was warm. You're still you. Still the boy who protected his sister in the square. Still the son who wants to save his mother. The outside might change, but the inside is what matters. What if the inside changes too? Doyen whispered. Then I'll remind you who you are, Jiwon said softly. We all will. Hana called a meeting 2 weeks after Doyen arrived at the base. Everyone gathered in the main cave. She projected an image on the wall using a salvaged projector. I've been monitoring Vraxian communications, she said. Warlord Thexal is coming to Earth. He'll be landing at the capital city in 5 days to personally oversee the final conquest of humanity. Murmurs spread through the crowd. Thexal was the supreme leader of the Vraxian Empire. He had conquered more worlds than anyone could count. This is our chance, Minho said, standing up. Kill the head and the body dies. Without Thexal, the Vraxian fleet might fall apart. They'll fight each other for control. It's suicide, someone said from the back. Everything we do is suicide, Minho shot back. At least this suicide might actually accomplish something. Hana nodded. I agree. And I've been working on something that might help. She pulled out a small device, no bigger than a coin. This is a symbiote amplifier. If Doyen wears this, it will boost the range of his abilities. He'll be able to disrupt Vraxian technology in a wide area. Their armor, their weapons, their communication systems, all of it will shut down temporarily. How temporarily? Minho asked. Maybe 30 seconds, Hana admitted. The device will burn out after one use, and it will put massive strain on Doyen's body. It might even kill him. Everyone looked at Doyen. He stood up slowly. I'll do it. Brother, no, Nari cried. She ran to him and grabbed his arm. You'll die. Doyen knelt down to look his sister in the eyes. If I don't do this, we all die anyway. The Vraxians won't stop. They'll hunt us until there's nothing left. But if we kill Thexal, maybe we can win. Maybe humanity can be free. Tears ran down Nari's face. I don't want to lose you too. First father, now you. You won't lose me, Doyen promised, even though he wasn't sure he could keep that promise. I'll come back, I swear. The plan was made. They would travel to the capital city. Hana and Minho would create a distraction to draw away the guards. Jiwon and Nari would provide support from a distance. Doyen would infiltrate the landing platform and kill Thexal. It was a terrible plan. The chances of success were almost zero. But it was the only plan they had. On the last night before they left, Jiwon found Doyen sitting alone in his room. Can't sleep? She asked. Too much on my mind, he replied. She sat beside him. I want you to know something. When this is over, when we've won or lost, I'll still be here. Waiting for you. Whatever you've become, however much you've changed, you'll still be the person I care about. Doyen looked at her. Why? You barely know me. I know enough, Jiwon said. I know you're brave. I know you love your sister. I know you're willing to sacrifice everything for strangers. That's all I need to know. She leaned over and kissed his cheek. Then she stood and walked away, leaving Doyen alone with his thoughts and the strange warmth spreading through his chest. The capital city looked like a graveyard. Buildings stood broken and burned. Streets were empty except for Vraxian patrols. The few humans Doyen saw moved like ghosts, their eyes hollow with despair. The resistance team traveled in an old delivery truck that Hana had modified. She had installed a device that made the truck invisible to Vraxian scanners. It wasn't perfect, but it was enough to get them close. They parked in an abandoned warehouse 3 blocks from the landing platform. Minho spread out a map on the floor. The landing platform is here in the center of the old government district. Thexal's ship arrives in 2 hours. There will be at least 200 soldiers guarding the area. 200, someone muttered. We're 12 people. 13, Nari said quietly. Everyone looked at her. I count 2, Minho nodded with respect. 13 then. Hana and I will plant explosives here, here, and here. He pointed to locations on the map. When they blow, most of the soldiers will rush to investigate. That's when Doyen moves. Jiwan checked her rifle. Nari and I will set up on this building. It has a clear view of the landing platform. We'll provide cover if things go wrong. When things go wrong, Minho corrected. They always go wrong. Doyen was quiet, studying the map. The symbiote was showing him things. Patrol routes, weak points in the Vraxian defenses, escape paths, but it also showed him something else. The probability of success? The numbers were not good. Doyun, Hana said, breaking his concentration. She handed him the amplifier device. It was attached to a band that would wrap around his chest. Remember, you only get one shot with this. Once you activate it, every Vraxian in a kilometer will be disabled for about 30 seconds. After that, the device burns out and you're on your own. He put on the device, feeling its weight against his ribs. 30 seconds to kill Thexol. More like 20 seconds, Hana said. You'll need time to reach him through his guards. 20 seconds to save humanity. Doyen wanted to laugh at the impossibility of it, but he didn't. They moved out when the sun began to set. Minho and Hana went first, carrying bags full of explosives. Jiwan and Nari headed to their sniper position. Doyen waited in the shadows, watching the Vraxian patrols. His enhanced senses picked up everything. He could hear conversations from blocks away. He could smell the ozone from the Vraxian weapons. He could feel the electromagnetic signatures of their armor like bright lights in his mind. The first explosion shook the ground. Fire bloomed into the sky 3 blocks east. Alarms started wailing. Vraxian soldiers rushed toward the blast, their heavy footsteps making the street vibrate. Second explosion, north side. More soldiers diverted. The landing platform's defenses were thinning. Third explosion, directly south. That was the signal. Doyen ran. He moved through the streets like a shadow. The symbiote guided every step, showing him which corners to turn, which alleys to take, which patrols to avoid. When he couldn't avoid them, he moved so fast they didn't see him. Just a blur of motion, gone before they could raise their weapons. He reached the landing platform's outer wall. It was 15 feet high, made of reinforced steel. Doyen jumped, his enhanced legs launching him higher than any human should be able to jump. His fingers caught the top of the wall. He pulled himself up and over in one smooth motion. Inside the perimeter, soldiers ran everywhere, confused by the explosions. Doyen stayed low, moving between equipment and vehicles. His eyes, now almost completely blue, scanned for threats. He heard a voice in his earpiece. It was Jiwan. Doyen, the ship is landing. Thexol is coming out. You have maybe 5 minutes before they realize the explosions were a distraction. Understood, Doyen whispered back. The ship was massive. It looked like a mountain of black metal, decorated with symbols written in a language humanity had never seen. A ramp extended from its belly, touching the platform with a heavy clang. Figures emerged from the ship. First came elite guards, their armor polished and perfect. They moved in formation, weapons ready. Behind them walked Thexol. The warlord was even bigger than Doyun expected. 10 feet tall, maybe more. His body was covered in armor that looked like it had grown from his skin. Scars covered his exposed face and his eyes burned with red light. He radiated power and authority. This was a being who had crushed civilizations beneath his boots. Doyen felt something he hadn't felt since the symbiote awakened, a tiny seed of doubt. Could he really kill this creature? This monster who had conquered 47 species? Then he thought of his mother, held prisoner somewhere in this dying city. He thought of Nari, who had cried herself to sleep every night. He thought of his father, who had died to give him this chance. He thought of all the humans kneeling in fear while their world burned. The doubt vanished. Doyen stood up and walked into the open. Thexel, he shouted. Everything stopped. The guards turned. The soldiers froze. The warlord's massive head swiveled to look at this small human boy standing alone on his landing platform. For a moment, nobody moved. Then Thexol started laughing. It was a terrible sound, like thunder mixed with breaking glass. A child? Thexol said in perfect human language. They send a child to challenge me? The guards raised their weapons, but Thexol held up one massive hand. Wait, I want to see this. He walked down the ramp, each step making the platform shake. Tell me, little human. Do you have any idea who I am? You're the warlord who's about to die, Doyun replied. Thexol laughed again. Such bravery. Such stupidity. Yes, I like you. You remind me of a warrior from the Keltor species. He also refused to kneel. I wore his skull as a trophy for 3 centuries. The warlord stopped 20 feet away from Doyen. But there's something different about you. I can feel it. You carry something that doesn't belong in a human body. Doyen didn't answer. He was calculating. Distance, speed, angle of attack. Ah, Thexal said, his eyes widening with recognition. I know what you are. I know what you carry. The precursors made weapons like you. I've destroyed 3 of them in my long life. They were all stronger than you, and they all failed. Maybe they didn't have a good enough reason to win, Doyen said. Thexal's expression changed. The amusement vanished. You think love will save you? Friendship? These emotional attachments you humans value so much. I have seen 1,000 species cling to such weakness. They all burned anyway. The warlord's hand moved to his weapon. It was a massive blade that crackled with energy. I'll give you one chance, join me. With your power and my empire, we could rule galaxies. I'll even spare your pathetic planet. I'd rather die human than live as a monster, Doyen said. Thexal nodded slowly. So be it. The warlord attacked. He moved faster than something his size should be able to move. The blade came down like a falling meteor. Doyen rolled to the side, feeling the wind from the strike they fought. Doyen was faster, more agile. He dodged and weaved, landing strikes on the warlord's armor. But Thexal was stronger, more experienced. Every blow that connected with Doyen felt like being hit by a truck. The guards tried to help their master, but Thexal roared at them. This is my fight! Anyone who interferes will die by my hand. Doyen's ribs cracked. The symbiote healed them immediately, but the pain was incredible. He spat blood and kept fighting. In his ear, Jiwan was screaming, Doyen, use the amplifier. Do it now. But Doyen couldn't, not yet. The guards were too far away. If he activated the device now, they would only be disabled for seconds before they were out of range. He needed them closer, needed all of them in one place. Thexal's blade caught Doyen's shoulder. Pain exploded through his body. His left arm went numb, hanging uselessly at his side. You're dying, Thexal said. Accept it. Doyen looked past the warlord. The guards were moving closer now, drawn by the fight. Almost all of them in range, almost. Not yet, Doyen gasped, and he smiled that same smile from the town square. Doyen's hand moved to his chest. His fingers found the amplifier device. Thexal saw the movement and his eyes widened with understanding. No, the warlord roared, lunging forward, but he was too late. Doyen pressed the activation button. The device hummed to life. Then it screamed. A sound beyond sound, a frequency that only the Vraxians could hear. Every soldier within a kilometer grabbed their heads and fell to their knees. Their armor sparked and smoked. Their weapons died, the energy cells shutting down. Even Thexal stumbled, his massive body swaying. But he didn't fall. His enhancements were too powerful, too deeply integrated. He stayed on his feet, though his movements were slow and clumsy. 20 seconds. That's all Doyen had. He ran at the warlord, ignoring his broken ribs and useless arm. The symbiote flooded his body with chemicals that dulled the pain and pushed his muscles beyond their limits. He leaped onto Thexal's chest, climbing up the armor like a mountain. 15 seconds. Thexal's hand grabbed him, trying to pull him off, but Doyen's fingers found gaps in the armor. He pulled himself higher, toward the warlord's exposed neck. 10 seconds. Impossible. Thexal growled, his voice distorted by the disruption. You're just a child. Just a weak human child. Doyen reached the neck. His right hand, still working, grabbed one of the fallen guard's blade that had clattered nearby. No, wait, he had no weapon. The symbiote would have to be enough. His fingers, enhanced by alien technology, became like knives. He drove them into the gap where Thexal's helmet met his armor. 5 seconds. The warlord screamed. It was a sound of rage and pain and disbelief. His hand finally caught Doyen and threw him. Doyen flew through the air and crashed into a vehicle. Metal crumpled. His back screamed in agony. 0 seconds. The amplifier died. Smoke poured from the device. Doyen tore it off his chest before it could burn through his skin. Around him, the Vraxian soldiers were starting to recover. Their armor rebooted. Their weapons flickered back to life. But Thexal was on his knees. Blue blood, the color of deep ocean, poured from his neck. The warlord pressed one hand against the wound, trying to stop the flow. His other hand clutched his blade. You... Thexal's voice was weak. You actually hurt me. Doyen tried to stand. His legs wouldn't work. The symbiote was working frantically to heal him, but there was too much damage. Broken bones, internal bleeding, torn muscles. He had pushed his body past its breaking point. Finish it, Doyen said through bloody lips. Kill me. Texal laughed, and blue blood bubbled from his mouth. I'm already dead. You pierced the main artery. I have minutes left. He looked up at his soldiers, who were now surrounding them, weapons pointed at Doyen. But my empire will continue. They'll kill you. Then they'll burn your world until nothing remains but ash. Sir, one of the guards shouted. Let us help you. Our medical teams can save you. No, Texal said. This human earned this kill. Let him have it. The warlord's red eyes fixed on Doyen. Look at yourself, boy. Look at what you've become. Doyen looked down at his hands. They weren't hands anymore. The skin had turned crystalline, blue like the symbiote. His veins glowed with alien light. He caught his reflection in a piece of metal. His face was barely human. His eyes were completely blue with no white left. His skin had a strange sheen to it. The weapon consumed you, Texal said. You won, but you lost yourself. Was it worth it? Before Doyen could answer, gunfire erupted. The resistance fighters were attacking, a desperate attempt to save him. But there were too few of them and too many Vraxians. Then something unexpected happened. The Vraxian ships in orbit began firing on each other. On his earpiece, Doyen heard Hana shouting, It's working. Without Thexal's command codes, the fleet commanders are fighting for control. They're tearing themselves apart. The soldiers on the platform looked up in confusion. Their ships were destroying each other, lighting up the night sky with explosions. Thexal saw it too. His laugh turned into a cough. More blue blood spilled from his lips. Impressive. You really did it. You broke us. His eyes began to dim. But answer my question, human. Was it worth it? You saved your species, but you're no longer one of them. The warlord fell forward, dead. The guards stood frozen, unsure what to do. Their leader was dead. Their fleet was in chaos. Some raised their weapons toward Doyen. Others turned and ran for their ships. Minho's voice came through the earpiece. Doyen, get up! We need to go now! But Doyen couldn't move. His body had given everything. The symbiote was keeping him alive, but barely. He lay there watching as the Vraxian Empire collapsed above him. Then he heard footsteps. Light and quick. Nari appeared beside him, tears streaming down her face. Brother! No, please don't die. Behind her came Jiwan, firing at any Vraxian who got too close. She knelt beside Doyen and checked his pulse. He's alive, but we need to move him. Now. Minho arrived with 2 other resistance fighters. Together, they lifted Doyen and carried him away from the platform. Behind them, the Vraxian soldiers were fleeing, their empire crumbling around them. 3 months passed. The Vraxians were gone. Some fled Earth entirely. Others died in the orbital battles as their commanders fought each other for power. The few who surrendered were imprisoned or sent away. Humanity began to rebuild. Cities rose from the ashes. Governments reformed. Life started to return to normal, but Doyen didn't return to normal. He lived in the mountains now in a small house near where his father's laboratory had been. The symbiote had saved his life, but the price was high. His transformation was complete. He looked less human every day. His skin had turned almost completely crystalline. His eyes glowed in the dark. He was stronger, faster, nearly immortal, but he was alone. Nari visited every week, climbing the mountain path with supplies and news from the town. She refused to abandon her brother even when he told her to go. You're still my brother, she said stubbornly. I don't care what you look like. Jiwan came too. She had stayed with Doyen during his recovery, refusing to leave his side. She brought books and music and stories, anything to help him remember his humanity. Do you regret it? She asked him one evening. They sat on the porch watching the sunset. Do you regret what you did? Doyen thought about the question. He thought about the town below, where children played in the streets. He thought about humanity, free and alive. He thought about the cost. Thexal asked me the same thing before he died, Doyen said. His voice sounded different now, deeper and with a strange echo. I didn't answer him then, but I'll answer you now. He looked at Jiwan with his glowing blue eyes. No, I don't regret it. I'd do it again. Because those children get to grow up free. Because Nari gets to live without fear. Because humanity survived. That's worth more than what I lost. Jiwan took his crystalline hand in hers. It was cold and hard, nothing like human skin. But she held it anyway. You didn't lose everything. You still have us. You still have your memories. You still have your heart. Do I? Doyen asked quietly. Sometimes I wonder if the symbiote took that too. If it did, you wouldn't be wondering, Jiwan said wisely. Monsters don't question whether they're monsters. That night, after Jiwan had gone to sleep inside, Doyen stood alone on the porch. He looked up at the stars. They seemed closer now, clearer. His enhanced eyes could see things normal humans couldn't. He could see the ships moving between worlds. He could see signals in space, messages traveling at the speed of light, and he saw something else. A transmission coming from deep space. It was encoded, but the symbiote understood it. His mind translated the message. It was from another species. They had heard about Earth's resistance. They had heard about the human who killed Thexol and broke the Vraxian Empire. They wanted to know humanity's secret. They wanted help, because the galaxy was full of conquerors. The Vraxians were just one empire among many. There were others, worse than Thexol, and they were coming. Doyen realized his war wasn't over. It was just beginning. But this time he wouldn't be fighting alone. Humanity had proven itself. They had earned their place among the stars. He looked back at the house where Nari and Jiwan slept peacefully. He thought about his mother, who had been rescued from the Vraxian prison and was rebuilding her life in town. He thought about Minho and Hana and all the resistance fighters who had survived. They would want to help. Humanity didn't kneel. They had proven that. Doyen smiled. It was the same smile he had given Kravix in the town square all those months ago. The smile of someone who knew a secret. The secret was simple. Fear was a choice. Surrender was a choice, and humanity had chosen to fight. He sent a message back into deep space. 3 words in a language the symbiote helped him construct. We are ready. The stars seemed to shine a little brighter. Somewhere out there, species who had lived in fear for centuries received his message. Hope, long dead, flickered back to life. The galactic warrior had told the human boy, "I'll kill you if you don't kneel." And the boy had just smiled. Because he knew something the warrior didn't. Humans don't kneel. Not to threats. Not to fear. Not to monsters who think power makes them gods. Humans stand. And when they stand together, nothing in the universe can make them fall. Doyen watched the dawn break over the mountains. A new day was beginning. Not just for Earth, but for the entire galaxy. And he would be there, standing on the front lines, showing the universe what humanity could do.